Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So the talk of the NBA right now is NBA trades and the deadline, and really what moves our teams going to do to not only put them in a better position short term, but also long term. So for today's video, we got an article by Bleacher Report, Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report, every NBA team's trade deadline shopping list. So basically, this is going to give us every single NBA team and a few players they could potentially pursue during the trade deadline or before the trade deadline actually happens. So it'll be kind of fun to go through this and really give you guys my thoughts and opinions on these players, and maybe like which player I think would probably be the most realistic bet for these teams to go for. So before we get going on this video, if you can please drop a like, and as always guys, subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really does help grow the channel. And yeah, you guys have been showing awesome support as of late. And also check out my second channel, Extra Crispy, for daily NBA content over there. I've been breaking down certain trades that have happened and the all-star voting and all that good stuff, so definitely don't want to miss out on that. But here we go. So the first team we have is the Atlanta Hawks. And the 5 players they have is Andre Drummond, Steven Adams, Dwayne Dedmon, Malik Beasley, and Mo Bamba. So actually trade talks with the Pistons and Andre Drummond have like just ended as soon as I started recording this video. So out of all these players, I honestly see it's difficult because like Steven Adams is nice. His contract's not extremely long or anything like that. It is kind of a bit of money for like who he is, but you know, it's like 2 years left on it. So Steven Adams would definitely help them out a lot. Andre Drummond, it just doesn't make much sense to me. I just don't think that this is the right fit for the Hawks team. Mo Bamba would be kind of fun because I feel like they could get him for relatively cheap, like maybe like a draft pick or something like that. And then of course the idea of Mo Bamba joining Trae Young, you know, in a few seasons definitely could be enticing. The only problem with that though is that Trae Young does want to help right now, and we're not really sure how far away Mo Bamba is from really being a good, solid, starting, consistent center here in the NBA. So out of all, I mean, like Malik Beasley, Dwayne Dedmon, like Dedmon was nice in their system last year, but he's like $44 million on his contract. I'd probably say Steven Adams is who I would go for out of all 5 of these guys. Next up, we got the Boston Celtics. Once again, we got Drummond listed, Derek Favors, Thompson, Jay Crowder, and Glenn Robinson. So I do think the Boston Celtics, they do need an inside guy. I like Daniel Tice. I like Enes Kanter. I just feel like something in this team is missing, and it's just that traditional rebounding, defensive-oriented guy. Now, I would not go for Andre Drummond because you want to be able to trade for a guy that allows you to still keep the core of your team intact. So I would much rather see them go for Tristan Thompson or Derek Favors. I feel like either one of those guys gives them what they need. Instant plug-and-play guys in their offense and defense, and they're not going to have to give up like a Gordon Hayward or anybody like that to do so. Like I said, probably some of their assets like Grant Williams, maybe Romeo Langford, although I'm not sure Celtic fans really want to give by him quite yet. You know, maybe a second-round draft pick or a first-round draft pick, something like that, to probably snag away one of these guys from the team. Next up, we got the Brooklyn Nets. We got Aaron Gordon, J.J. Redick, Robert Covington, Wayne Ellington, and Reggie Bullock. So right now they have Taurean Prince playing the 4 spot. Next season, once Kevin Durant's back, I don't think KD should play the 4. I could see it happening in some lineups, but I'd much rather see them go for just a, you know, that 3rd, 4th option. Somebody that can maybe bring you some defense, knock down some 3-point shots. I think that ideally Robert Covington would be a great fit for this team, but at the same time, like something about Aaron Gordon just feels kind of right. I just think it gives them some athleticism, somebody that, you know, can run the court and catch some lobs from Kyrie Irving. That'd be a lot of fun to watch. And it's just, once again, it comes down to like what assets do they have that the Orlando Magic would want? Because my first thought is like maybe like a Spencer Dinwiddie, but you really don't want to give up Dinwiddie for Aaron Gordon. And at the same time, I was like, Markelle Fultz has been nice enough on the Magic. But of all these guys, I would probably say Aaron Gordon would be the most exciting one to pick up, but Robert Covington probably makes the most sense for the long term of things. Next up, we got to the Charlotte Hornets. We got Miles Turner, Andrew Wiggins, Bogdanovich, Robert Covington, and Mo Bamba. So I think the guard spots are pretty good to go. You know, you got Devontae Graham, you got Terry Rozier. Both those guys are playing good basketball. Miles Bridges, I still think he's a little ways away. So maybe if you want to solidify the front court, your small forward position a little bit, you go for Andrew Wiggins. He has a very large contract. So, I mean, I don't know if the Charlotte Hornets would be willing to take him on, but it would be kind of nice. It would be kind of fun to see, you know, these shooters and these offensive guards around Andrew Wiggins, but you let Wiggins be the primary ball handler and also just just let them go out there and score the basketball how Wiggins likes to score. I don't think that exactly leads to wins, but it would be fun to watch, just like see if Wiggins could really even maximize his potential even more. But I would also like to see this team maybe lock down their center position. Cody Zeller's fine. But it's like the definition of Cody Zeller. Like if you look him in the dictionary, it would just say fine. Like he's a fine center. I'd much rather see like a Miles Turner around this team. Just that 3-and-D guy that can get you a few rebounds out there, but just really switches up what you can do offensively. I just feel like Miles Turner would be the best fit. Next up, we got the Chicago Bulls. Robert Covington, Marcus Morris, Davis Bertans, Malik Beasley, and Alfred Payton. I mean, I don't really think any of these guys really help the Chicago Bulls all that much right now, because like Otto Porter, when healthy, is like a fine enough scoring at the small forward spot. If you go for one of these power forwards, then chances are Lauri Markkanen isn't getting as many minutes, and that's a guy you really want to continue to develop, and just giving him the reps in the NBA is going to help him in the long term of things. Like Malik Beasley, I guess, would be a good backup shooting guard to Zach LaVine. That'd be kind of fun, I suppose, but I don't really think any of these guys are needed. Like Tomas Satoransky's fine at point guard, Kobe White's fine at point guard. I don't think Alfred Payton gets this team to a better direction. So out of all these guys, I don't really think any of them make all that much of sense. Unless you're okay with like Marcus Morris coming off the bench, or even starting and then using Otto Porter off the bench. Maybe that works. But yeah. Okay, next up we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. We got draft picks Tyler Johnson, Malik Beasley, Frank Ntilikina, and Chris Dunn. Well, I'm going to cross off Chris, Frank, and Tyler because this team does not need any more point guards. You're already playing point guards out of position at the shooting guard spot, that being Colin Sexton. Dante Exum, they just acquired via trade. He's fine. So out of all these, I like the idea of draft picks. I mean, it's a rebuilding team. I feel like you probably could get a first-round draft pick for Kevin Love at this point, so that'd be nice. Now, if you could do like Tyler Johnson just for salary to match Kevin Love and then the draft picks, that's probably what you're looking at. But yeah, that's what I would go for if I was the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, next up, we got the Dallas Mavericks. So the Dallas Mavericks, literally the picture of superstar, then like borderline all-star with Kristaps, although he could be an all-star by the end of the season if he can develop, back to that style of play. And it's like they got really good role players. So which role player could you get on this team to really help them bring them to the next level? And we're looking at Bogdanovich, Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, Robert Covington, and Jay Crowder. Once again, like I can say the same thing about Robert Covington. Like, who doesn't want like a great 3-and-D player like that? I feel like Jay Crowder they could probably get for pretty cheap, and he's somebody you could start at that small forward spot. Right now they got Dorian Finney-Smith, who does, he does fine there, but Jay Crowder is just a proven veteran. He's had some really nice games for the Memphis Grizzlies. I also kind of like the idea of Evan Fournier just to give them some more perimeter shooting. I mean, he could be like a 19-point per game scorer. Bogdanovich, once again, just gives them some more spacing out there. Aaron Gordon with Kristaps Porzingis seems like an interesting lineup. So if they could get him for the right price, sure, why not? But I think out of all this, I feel like Jay Crowder it kind of fits their culture, or it's just Evan Fournier. Either one of those guys I'd be happy with if you were a Dallas Mavericks fan. Okay, next we got the Denver Nuggets. So we got Drew Holiday, Robert Covington, Andre Iguodala, and JJ Redick. I mean, Michael Porter has had some amazing game at the small forward spot. They got Will Barton, so they seem fine there. Honestly, I would probably go with Drew Holiday. And a lot of that kind of comes down to, I know that, I don't know the extent of the ankle injury, but I know Jamal Murray just had, he just had an injury out there, right, man? So Drew Holiday is a person that if you are missing Jamal Murray for a substantial amount of time, he can instantly be the starting point guard. But once Jamal's back, Drew Holiday shifts to that shooting guard spot, use Gary Harris off the bench, which might actually be a better role for him going forward anyway. So yeah, Drew Holiday just seems like one of those guys. He's like a low-key all-star where he's not going to completely change the system. He's more of a guy you can put into your system and instantly fits. So that'd be a lot of fun to watch. And then defensively too, he helps take this team to the next level. Next we got the Detroit Pistons. So we're looking at draft picks: Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner, Dennis Smith Jr., and Malik Beasley. So out of all these guys, as a Piston family, draft picks would be nice. I just don't think with their current roster they're going to be, I mean, like a lot of teams already said that they would not trade first round pick for Andre Drummond, so that's not going to happen. Ideally, I feel like Kyle Kuzma would be kind of cool, just because young guy can score the basketball, and it's one of those like why not situations. Like, let's try out Kyle Kuzma, see what we can do with this team for the long term of things. Because the idea of like Kyle Kuzma, Sekou Demboya, and then maybe like insert defensive center in here seems kind of enticing for the future. I also like the Dennis Smith Jr. I feel like the Pistons could get him for really cheap. And he's a guy that his rookie season showed a lot of promise. I do feel like he needs just a culture change from the New York Knicks. So it would be kind of a low-risk, high-reward type of move for Detroit, which they need one of those to work out for once. We got the Golden State Warriors. We got draft picks: Aaron Gordon, Robert Covington, Markieff Morris, and Frank Ntilikina. Yeah, any of these guys would be fine. Markieff Morris has been really nice for the Detroit Pistons this season. Frank Ntilikina, I think, would give them a nice defensive point guard off the bench going forward. Right now, they got Kai Bowman, who will probably be the backup once Steph Curry returns. But no, I mean, Frank Ntilikina can play both spots, and you know, really the idea of Frank out there with Klay Thompson defensively at times seems kind of enticing, so that'd be cool to see. Draft picks, they don't really need those at all. Robert Covington, I've said this a billion times that I feel like he could be like the new Andre Iguodala for this team, so I'd love to see him on the squad too. Next, we got the Houston Rockets. Bro, it's literally Robert Covington every single time. Like, Markieff Morris would be a cheap option to get. Jay Crowder could be like the new PJ Tucker for this team, so that'd be kind of cool. Could actually start at small forward with PJ at the 4 spot. Davis Bertans fits instantly into their offense, but and then Andre Iguodala, just a nice veteran for the 3 spot. But once again, man, Robert Covington fits instantly with Houston Rockets. I should just title this video, what team should get Robert Covington? All right, next up, we got the Indiana Pacers. So here we got Drew Holiday, Gallinari, Kyle Kuzma, Marcus Morris Sr., and Evan Fournier. I guess if I had to pick one player, it would be Drew Holiday. And this is right here is the only reason that I'm picking him over anybody else, is just because it'd be a lot of fun to watch him play with his 2 brothers on the team. Now, roster-wise, it doesn't make much sense because Malcolm Brogdon and Oladipo is going to be the backcourt. You really don't want to run either one of those guys at the small forward spot. Gallinari gives them a nice scoring at the forward, but I like, you know, well, Sabonis and Miles Turner like seem fine there. I guess maybe you could look at Marcus Morris to put him at the small forward spot, but like TJ Warren's fine. I don't really think this team needs a trade unless you want to like bolster the bench a little bit, but none of these guys on here listed are really long-term bench players. Next, we got to the Los Angeles Clippers: Drew Holiday, Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris, DJ Augustine, and Willie Cauley-Stein. I would like to see them bring another point guard on this team. If they could get Drew Holiday for the right price, then that's like the no-brainer one, but I don't really see them giving up like the assets to do so. DJ Augustine has playoff experience, has been with the Orlando Magic for many seasons, could come off the bench, give them some nice scoring, a little scoring boost in the playoffs especially, so he'd be great to see. And then really either of the Morris twins right there, it just gives you another option. Like if Kawhi Leonard or Paul George decide to miss a few games of load management, then you get these guys that are instant plug and plays and can give you some good offense either on the bench or as starters when needed. And then of course, if they want to go with a different type of center, of course you got Montrezl Harrell, but it seems like they're looking for somebody beyond Zubac, so Willie Cauley-Stein gives you that. But out of all these guys, I mean, Marcus Morris would be like ideal, but DJ Augustine seems like it would be more like a realistic choice, just based off trades. Next, we got the Los Angeles Lakers. We got Markieff, Jay Crowder, Andre Iguodala, Marcus Morris, and DJ Augustine. I would personally, I don't know, I feel like the guard spot is kind of like what they need the most. So once again, kind of the same song and dance with DJ Augustine, but also Andre Iguodala. It just feels like Iggy needs to be on the Lakers at some point this season. I think it's going to happen. I think it will happen before the trade deadline, and he's just going to be a guy that can come in and give you 20 minutes when needed, a guy that can give you 5 minutes, or a guy that can play 30 minutes. It's just however Iguodala, however you need to use him in your lineup. If LeBron James misses some games down the stretch, you got Iggy in there to kind of back him up. Next, we got the Memphis Grizzlies. Draft picks: Kyle Kuzma, Malik Beasley, Chris Dunn, and Malik Monk. So I've always kind of viewed Malik Monk as like a really good 6-man. I know he always gave me like Lou Williams vibes. Like eventually he could become that. And this Memphis Grizzlies team, believe it or not, is fighting for a playoff spot. Right now they got Dylan Brooks, who's playing like a sharpshooter, so you really don't want to switch him up or anything like that. But I feel like if you could either get Malik Beasley or Malik Monk just to kind of bolster the bench a little bit, that would be good in the long term. The Miami Heat, we got Drew Holiday, Derek Favors, Marvin Williams, Tristan Thompson, and Dennis Smith Jr. I want Drew Holiday on the team. I feel like him and Jimmy Butler just make sense. I feel like he just instantly fits into that Miami Heat culture. And if he was on the squad, you know, dropping 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, whatever he's doing this season, damn, dude, that's not a team I want to see in the playoffs. Next, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. We got Chris Paul, Bogdan, Robert Covington, JJ Redick, and Davis Bertans. I'd probably like to see JJ Redick the most. Just a nice veteran shooting guard that can either start playoff games for you or come off the bench and just serve as like that sharpshooting guy that can play off of Giannis. I don't think they need to do anything crazy and bring in Chris Paul. Eric Bledsoe, in my opinion, has been very underrated this season when he does play. Robert Covington, I mean, sure, why not? You can make a case for him. Bogdanovich, a younger version of JJ Redick. Davis Bertans for some floor spacing. But I like Redick the best out of all this, man. He's made the playoffs every single season. So bring him on the Bucks, let him make the playoffs again. Next, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves, who actually just made a trade in real life. They traded away Jeff Teague, so they definitely need a point guard. If you want to go with more of a low-key option, Dennis Smith Jr., Monte Morris, both those guys would help out a lot. But ideally, I think we all want to see D'Angelo Russell on the Timberwolves. It's just, there doesn't seem to be an opportunity for that to happen. That would involve a trade that the Golden State Warriors would be willing to do. So I would actually like to see Monte Morris as a full-time point guard, just see what he could do, man, because he was one of the best backups last year in the NBA. So a guy that can get the ball to Karl-Anthony Towns, give you some floor spacing, would be a lot of fun to watch. Next, we got the Pelicans. So we got draft picks, Kyle Kuzma, Bogdan, Gary Harris, or Malik Beasley. I'm trying to think what they could really use on this team. None of these guys are really doing it for me, man. So I guess I'll say draft picks. I mean, just continue to get more young talent on the team, I suppose. Next up, we got the New York Knicks. Draft picks, Monte Morris, Malik Monk, J.R. Smith, or Jerome Robinson. It seems like a good opportunity for the Knicks to maybe trade for a J.R. Smith or Jerome Robinson. Guys that have not been in the NBA for very long, but were higher draft picks. And they have plenty of time to just try these guys out for the rest of this season and just see what happens, man. You never know. You never know what guy you're going to insert into your starting lineup that has never really been given a real chance and what they could become. Prime example right now is Sekou Demboy on the Pistons. He's been playing amazing basketball just because he's been given a chance. Next, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got draft picks, Justice Winslow, Eric Bledsoe, Mikal Bridges, and Nazir Little. Really, yeah, Winslow, Mikal, or Nazir. I think out of all those guys, I would prefer Mikal Bridges, and that's just to give them a nice starting small forward. I think Mikal's an NBA guy. I think he's a future really good 3-and-D type of player, and somebody that's not going to demand the basketball. If this team is deciding to just go all in on the season and play the guys they have, then yeah, CP3, Shai Gilgeous, Mikal, Gallinari, Steven Adams, that's a really fun team, and I think a dangerous team come playoff time. Next up, we got the Orlando Magic, D'Lo, Chris Paul, DeMar DeRozan, Dennis Smith, Alonzo Trier. I like Markelle Fultz, so I'm not trying to have this team trade for a point guard. Part of me, as bad of a fit as I think it is, I kind of want to see DeMar DeRozan go to the team. And a big reason is just because scoring has been a big issue for this team this season. So DeMar DeRozan, despite doing it in a very old school traditional way, can score the basketballs. So Jonathan Isaac's out for the season. I think they could probably go as far as trading Aaron Gordon to get DeMar on the team. It's why not? Let's see what happens. Vucevic, DeMar, Markelle Fultz, Evan Fournier. It's interesting. A few seasons ago, DeMar DeRozan was looked at as one of the best shooting guards in the entire NBA. So maybe it goes back to the East and can kind of be that again. We got the Philadelphia 76ers, Davis Bertans, Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Isaiah Thomas, or Wayne Ellington. I would like to see this team get a bit more floor spacing and help off the bench. Out of all these guys, Davis Bertans seems intriguing. If you want to use Al Horford off the bench at times, Davis could play the 4 spot alongside Joel Embiid. That'd be great. Or even Joe Harris if you want to just go with more of the floor spacing 2 guards. So I think both those guys would be great fits. Next, we got the Phoenix Suns, Aaron Gordon, Gallinari, Kevin Love, Dennis Smith, and Monte Morris. I've heard talks of Kevin Love. The good thing about Kevin Love is that I know it's not really working out for the Cleveland Cavaliers with him, but it does bring you a guy that does have a history of winning and really making the playoffs, winning a championship with LeBron James and everything like that. So a guy like that maybe comes on this Suns team that's, kind of ready to just take that next step and bring a nice veteran like K. Love. I feel like him alongside DeAndre Ayton seems like a pretty decent enough fit too. Portland Trail Blazers, Gallinari, LaMarcus Aldridge, Kevin Love, Robert Covington, and Marcus Morris. I want to see LaMarcus Aldridge go back to this team. I feel like it's the perfect case for him. He could just be that third scoring option. Melo switches over to the starting small forward instead of a power forward, which helps their depth in the long term of things with Rodney Hood being out for the season. It makes them a very big lineup, but it would be a lot of fun to watch. So I would love to see LaMarcus Aldridge return back to Portland just as that third option and see what happens. Next, we got the Sacramento Kings, draft picks, Kyle Kuzma, Covington, Markieff Morris, Torrey Craig. All 4 of these guys listed here does not really help out the Sacramento Kings all that much right now. So I would say draft picks And make sure you draft guys that you like. It's not always good to just go for best available, but sometimes it's best to go for best fit. And I really think that's been the issue with the Kings this season. San Antonio Spurs, draft picks: Miles Turner, Aaron Gordon, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba would be cool. I feel like Greg Popovich could get the most out of him. Aaron Gordon, same song and dance for Aaron Gordon, where it's just like Aaron Gordon potentially athletically could be a really solid NBA player. We've seen it before. It just seems like something about him just is off. So have him go to a great system like the Spurs and see if they can change his career around. Next, we got the Toronto Raptors. We got Drummond, Thompson, Marcus, Jay, or draft picks. I feel like Drummond would be a bit expensive. I mean, I guess maybe if they want to do a trade like Marcus Gasol, who's, I believe, an expiring deal, and some sort of draft pick for Drummond, that'd be interesting. But once again, I think Tristan Thompson is really all they would need, and he'd be a lot cheaper. Utah Jazz, we got Davis Bertans, Marvin Williams, Markieff Morris, Dennis Smith Jr., and Monte Morris. I guess Davis Bertans alongside Rudy Gobert Towns would be kind of cool, but none of these guys really screaming it out to me. So you guys let me know which one of these players would you like to see the Utah Jazz get. Maybe a better backup point guard, because they had Dante Exum. Is Clarkson? I don't know if he's playing point guard or shooting guard right now. So either way, you can make it work. And then finally, we have the Washington Wizards draft picks: Kuzma, Derrick Jones Jr., Torrey Craig, or J.R. Smith. I'd be willing to give J.R. Smith a chance on this team. I said that earlier. I forgot which. I think I was talking about the Knicks. So same song and dance as that. Or just draft picks and continue to tank and try to get good players. Because the thing about draft picks is that this team has like no financial flexibility for quite some years with John Wall and Bradley Beal's contracts. So best bet is to just go out there and hope that you get a steal in the NBA draft. But that is the end of the video here, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and peace out, my friends.